Hello everyone, I welcome you to the channel. In the previous video we had a look at the basic setup for Nginx, and then we got into details and looked at the basic way Nginx renders pages, and from that understanding we were able to deploy our first web page over here, our custom web page, which is different from the Nginx page that renders when Nginx is installed by default. And so building up on this knowledge, we would install our project, that's our Laravel project from GitHub. We'll clone it, and then we configure a database, and then we also configure Nginx to serve the project. So that is what we'll be looking at in this video. So let's head right into our terminal and then start. So first of all, we would want to update our server. So sudo apt update. This should update our server. Okay, then next we want to install PHP and then some extensions that Laravel requires in order to run on the server. So I have a cheat sheet of code of commands here. So to save time, I've put together all the commands that we need in these tutorials, and I'll be adding a link to this sheet in the video description, as well as put some of the basic commands, the very necessary ones, also in the video description. So we'll head over to the terminal and we paste this. So in this command we are installing PHP and some other extensions, and this is pretty much all the extensions that we need for Laravel to run. But then if you are deploying a Laravel project that is different from Laravel 9, I suggest you head to the documentation and then have a look at what's in the documentation. Search PHP extension required for Laravel 9. I think you should see the docs, the Laravel official documents here, and you head to deployment. Over there you see the extensions that PHP requires. So it says it requires PHP 8, C-type PHP, and some other extensions. Make sure the extensions that you are installing together with PHP are the same. You should have at least those extensions there. And so let's go back to the terminal and then we continue. Okay, so now PHP has been successfully installed alongside the extensions. So the next thing on our cheat sheet, says we should install MySQL. Okay, so, and please, this cheat sheet was put together by me, so let me sudo apt install default MySQL. Okay, let me copy this and run this here. Okay, so some of the current versions of Debian, for instance Debian 10, Debian 11, and then 12, they have removed the repository for MySQL server, and so it's not available, and even though you may try, you won't get it. So when you try, even though this is correct, when you try installing MySQL, it doesn't find the package. But then they have replaced it with MariaDB, and so if you try this command and it doesn't work for you, you can go ahead and try using the sudo apt install default MySQL server. Okay, that should install MariaDB for you. And the good thing about MariaDB is it responds to every MySQL service command. So every command that you enter for MySQL is the same thing that you enter for MariaDB, and so we won't have any problems in this uh, tutorials. Just that a lot of people might really want to install MySQL, but then this version of server that I am running is making it quite difficult to set up MySQL. So we'll continue. Okay, so it's been installed. Then let me try sudo apt. Oh no, let me sudo MySQL. Yes, so okay, it's installed. As I said, we can see MariaDB here, but then we enter MySQL and it's loaded it, meaning every command you run for MySQL is the same thing you run for this. So let's now we will proceed to secure MySQL. Okay, so let me exit this. We'll secure MySQL, and the command is here as well. We use the sudo MySQL secure installation. Run this command. So it wants us to enter a password, but then we just installed MariaDB and we don't have a password, so we'll press enter, and now it wants to switch to Nginx socket for authentication. We'll say yes, and then it's telling us we are already secured. We are connecting via SSH, and then Google is authenticating us using our Google account, and so we need to set up a password so that the local environment, which is the application we are hosting, will be able to access the database. So we'll continue and say this is the MariaDB suggesting, the server is suggesting we say no, but we won't do that. We want to say yes, so we can set our own password. So I'll enter a password here, and then it wants me to re-enter the same password. Okay, then it says by default a MariaDB installation has an anonymous user. Okay, so the default user that was created when MariaDB was being installed, I think we should remove it. I'll say yes to remove it. So it says we shouldn't allow root to access the database via SSH, maybe remote or something, and we might set up Workbench or some other software to monitor our database, and so we can't disallow it. If we disallow it, it means we always have to use it from the server. We can't use it from a third-party app, and so disallow routes remotely. We say no, we don't want to disallow. We don't want to remove the test database. We don't want to reload privileges. Okay, so this has been set. So now the next thing is we try and then clone our project. Okay, so let's try and clone the project, and we have the command here, git clone https. Okay, whatever, let me try and see example out. Now I know if you are a newbie in software engineering, you'll be wondering how we are able to get this. Okay, but then the trick is you just open your the repository for your GitHub repository. So I can just go to GitHub, login, let me sign into GitHub. It's taking a lot of time. Okay, so I'm signed in, and then this is the project that I want to deploy on the server. So I'll make sure I'm at the code section. Then if you look in your browser URL tab, you realize that you just grab the URL for that repository, home furniture, and as you can see, this is the home furniture. So I'll grab that URL, go here into my SSH, our SSH into the server again, and then I'll type git clone, and then I paste the URL, then I add .git. I'll add .git, and now the next thing is I need to provide the exact project folder, or the exact folder where I want to put the project. Okay, so I'll say /var/www/html. I hope you guys are familiar with this particular directory. You know, in the previous video we were able to render this page, okay, and we realized that Nginx was rendering the default Nginx page from this directory /var/www/html, and then they had a file there which was index.debian.html. okay, so we also want to put our project in the same directory. Okay, so in our case we want to name the directory example app. Okay, so I'll click enter. Oh, okay, it says example app already exists and it's not empty. Okay, so this would have placed it in example app. So let's cd to example app /var/www/html/example app. Okay, so for the sake of these tutorials, I would remove example app and then we set it up all over again. So I'll say rm sudo rm -r example app. Okay, this should remove it. Then I want to clone the project all over again. So this time, because I'm already in this directory, I have to remove I'm already here, so I'll just provide the name of the folder. Then it says permission denied. Okay, I need to add sudo. So sudo. Okay, so over here it is asking for my username. Now let me enter my email. Okay, so I have my app token saved somewhere. I think it's in desktop, and then git tokens. Okay, I don't have it here. Okay, so I just realized that I don't have my Git token saved anywhere, but then I can go back into my GitHub repository. Then I'll go to settings and I'll locate developer settings. Then I go to personal access tokens, fine-grained beta. Okay, then I go to D. It will ask me to log in again. Now that I'm authenticated, the access token, you have access to it only once at the time of creation. From there it hides it, but then you have the opportunity to regenerate. So I'll just regenerate it, and I'll pick 90 days over here, then generate the token. Okay, so this is my token. This would have changed by the time I publish this video, so this is just for demonstration purpose. So I'll go here and then paste my token here and save. Let me save it for later. Okay, then I go back to my server and then paste it here in place of the password. Okay, then I'll click enter, and then my project is being cloned. Wow, so I'll clear this, and then now we will cd into the project directory, cd example lab, and then we will say ls-l. And one thing we want to do is we want to set up the environment variables, but then we'll use the example .env.example to set it up. So we will do this. Let me see in our cheat sheet. It's here. So we copy content of .env.example to .env file. Okay, so sudo, then we paste this. Okay, then I can say sudo nano .env. Okay, so over here we'll notice that the name of my database is called home furniture. You can decide to change it. So when you change it, you make sure the database that you are going to create to connect to this app matches this name. And then we have a root user here, but then in our root user has a password. When we secured MySQL, we gave it a password, so I'll just proceed to put that password here so that the app will be able to communicate with the database. Then let me copy this. I want to keep it as it is, so I'll copy this and then I'll save what I just did. So now we'll say sudo MySQL -u root -p. Ask for password, we put our password there, and then voila, we are here. So let's create a database. So we'll say create database then let's paste what we copied. It's called home furniture, and don't forget your semicolon. This should create our database for us. Okay, so query is okay. Our database has been created successfully. And that is all we need. Let's exit this. Now let's install the dependencies, the composer dependencies for our project. Let me clear my screen. So over here. Okay, so I think we have not set up Composer. We've not installed Composer. So let's quickly install Composer before we install the Composer dependencies. So this should install Composer for us. Let's head over to copy the next command. This one is Composer install. Okay. Okay, Composer has been installed successfully. Let me clear the screen. Let's add sudo. I'll say yes. Okay, now our Laravel Composer dependencies have also been installed. So let me clear this for now. And the next thing is we need to we've already created .env, so we need to generate our app key. So say php artisan key generate. So let's run that command now. Sudo php artisan key generate. Let's hit enter. Now our app key has been generated successfully. Okay, so one other thing is this is also very important. There are some directories that the Laravel application will try to read and write to, and so we need to change the permissions and some ownerships. Okay, so I'll copy this. Then we head to the server and then paste it here. Okay, so example of, I think there's a space here. Let's close that space. Shouldn't be no space here. Remove the space. I think there's another space here. Okay, HTML. Okay, there is no space here. So let's run this. Okay, this is successful. Now the final thing we want to do here is to run the migration. So I'll say I just want us to look at what we have in the database. MySQL -root -p. So I'll enter the password. Okay, then I'll say show databases, semicolon. Okay, so we have home furniture, we have information schema MySQL. So let's use home furniture. Okay, so let's show tables. Okay, it says an empty set. It means home furniture doesn't have any tables as we speak. Then let's exit and then run our migrations. Then let me clear this. And so the last command we are going to run is sudo php artisan migrate. It is also here, php artisan migrate. So let's run that command, sudo php artisan migrate. Okay, now our migrations are done. Then let me go back to MySQL. So let's use home furniture. So now let's show tables for home furniture. Okay, so as you can see, we have categories, we have field jobs, migrations, orders, password reset, personal access tokens, products, users, and then welcome image. Yeah, so we have all this. Okay, so let me exit. Let me clear my screen. Okay, so the basic configuration for Laravel is done. Now when we go back to that, the URL, that's the example app, and we load, we still get this page. That is because we've not yet configured Nginx to load the default page for our Laravel project. So let's do that right now. So I'll cd back to the root directory. Let me clear my screen. Then we cd to /etc/nginx/sites available. Then let's list host there. We can see we have the default, the one that renders this page. Now let's create another file that will render the Laravel project we just built, and we want to use the same name as our Laravel project. So I'll say, I think I have another cheat sheet for Nginx. Okay, this one, it doesn't just have the commands, but it has the server setup as well. I explained most of these in the previous video, and then it also has the explanation for each of those blocks. Okay, so I'll leave a link in the description also, and then I'll add the server configuration in the description, as well as the commands that we use. Okay, so let's go ahead and then create a file called example lab. So I'll say sudo touch example lab. Oh, I made it, there's a mistake here. Let me take off one of these touch. Okay, then if I say ls Now we'll see two files, example app and then default. Now you want to copy this server configuration. I explained it in the previous video. You want to copy it from here. Okay, and then we head to our server. Now we want to edit example app. We want to edit it, so we'll use nano. So sudo nano example app. Now you can just go ahead and paste it there. Okay, and then we edit it. So you can see that just like any server is just like any default Nginx server is listening on port 80, and then the server name. Okay, so this is very important. Let's change the server name. Our domain name is called exampleapp.ddns.net. So let's put that there. So we have exampleapp.ddns.net. Okay, and then we are also is pointing to var/www/html/laravel project/public, but then our project is not called Laravel project. Our project is called example app. So let's change that as well. Example app, and then we are heading to the public folder in example app. Okay, then we'll look out for index.php, index.html. Okay, that one too, we explained it in the previous video. Then we are accessing the log files. Okay, so we can log our errors. Okay, then one other thing that we are trying to do is we are trying to deny this configuration from getting access to any Git file. So I think basically that is it. We are done with Nginx setup in the sites available. So we'll save it and exit. Now I mentioned in the previous video that after creating a file in sites available, we need to head to sites enabled and create a symbolic link there that is called to will enable the site to be rendered online. So let's cd into sites enabled. Okay, and over there to when we list, we can see a symbolic link pointing to default. Now let's create one that is pointing to example app. Then let's look at our cheat sheet. Our cheat sheet is here, and it says sudo ln-s/etc/nginx/sites available /laravel project/etc/nginx/sites enabled. Okay, so it's basically creating a link and then putting it in sites enabled directory. So I'll copy this, head back to the server, and then I'll paste it here. But you should remember to change the so I think this is what we need to change. Laravel project, we didn't name ours Laravel project, we named it example app. So let's remember to change there, example app. Okay, So I'll hit enter and then I'll ls again. So now we can see that we have example lab, also a symbolic link that is pointing to example lab. Then let's try and see what the content of example lab is. Okay, so as you can see, it has exactly what we placed in the main app. Example app.adns.net and everything, it's all here. So I'll exit it and then I'll test. Let me clear my screen first, then I'll test the Nginx configuration. So sudo nginx -t. Oh, sorry, there has to be a space here. Okay, so our test is successful, so we can go ahead and then restart Nginx service. So sudo service nginx restart. Okay, it has restarted. Now that it has restarted without any errors, when we go back and reload our URL, we should get access to the project that we just deployed. So I'll go back here and then refresh. So as you can see, now home furniture has been successfully deployed on the VPS. And the most exciting thing about this is we did everything at no cost, completely free of charge, right from getting the cloud server to getting a domain name and to the hosting. Everything cost us $0. And so this is the end of this series. So don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, share, and if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the notification bell so that you get notified when I upload new content. Thank you so much. Bye bye.